Joining me now is the author of that op-ed, former Trump National Security Council Chief of Staff and a former CIA analyst himself, Fred Fleitz. Good to see you, Fred. So, first of all, does this look like something that would be written by a CIA analyst?
No, it really didn't. I've seen a lot of whistleblower complaints in my time at the CIA and House Intelligence Committee staff. This one looked like it was written by a law professor, or as Jay Sekulow said today, it looks like it was written by a law firm. And I mean, I know that's a strong accusation to make, and it could be that this person knows an attorney or has some legal background. But I think if you look at the way the footnotes are written and the formulation, it's very suspicious. But there's another part to this, and that's the fact that Chairman of the House Intel Committee, Adam Schiff, was talking about the subject matter of this complaint for almost a month before it was filed. He had a tweet posted on the 28th of August that was identical to this whistleblowing complaint. It looks very, very likely that he knew the content of it. And I'll tell you one other thing. I spoke to a staff member of the House Intelligence Committee. He believes staffers of this committee were involved in drafting this complaint. And I spoke to a member last night. He said the same thing, and that he wants to ask this whistleblower under oath, who helped you write this complaint?
Interesting. I wish I could put Mr. Schiff under oath as well to ask him, you know. But
That's right.
You mentioned footnotes. There's one interesting footnote. If anybody wants to print it up, they're free to. It's unclassified now. But on page 4 of this whistleblower report, there's a footnote that suggests that they got information from a group called the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project. That's a pretty left-wing operation. Now, it's true that they've received money in the past from USAID, but also from George Soros Group, et cetera. It kind of tips the hand of the person who wrote it as being sort of to the left of the political spectrum, right?
I think that's right. My friend on the House Intelligence Committee staff said, this looks like a group project. He said, I just don't believe this was written by one person. I don't think it was written just by this whistleblower. It looks like there were several people behind it.
Well, then there is also the disconnect between the actual transcript, or at least what was written up by the CIA folks who were listening to the conversation, and the whistleblower thing. There is a disconnect. I mean, it ain't for nothing that the guy or the gal wasn't directly listening in on the conversation. This was second or third hand, right?
Yeah, there were a lot of factual inconsistencies. But, you know, what was really significant is that this complaint was based on hearsay. The whistleblower admits, or so-called whistleblower, that he did not listen into these phone conversations. He did not read the transcript. It was told to him by others. So, I mean, that's a problem. It's also a problem that, you know, the people who were in on these calls, they're not supposed to talk about them. They're very, very sensitive. So there's another issue here. People violating the trust of the president to protect this very sensitive information.
You know, there apparently used to be a directive. We're trying to track all this down, so we may not have it exactly right because it's early days, but there was apparently a directive to make sure that if there was a whistleblower report, it had to be firsthand knowledge of what was happening. That clearly wasn't the case with this whistleblower, but that rule that was it wasn't a official directive, but it was one of these rules that was written up somewhere that said that, in fact, now you can do it second or third hand. That is, it was changed just within the past few months. Do you know anything about that?
Apparently, there was an internal rule in the intelligence community limiting whistleblower complaints to first-hand information. I got to tell you, I think that was a stupid rule. If I was in the CIA cafeteria and I overheard somebody talking about something seriously illegal or dangerous, I should be allowed to bring that to the Inspector General or CIA authorities. It's the timing of the change that I think is very troubling, because this rule would have barred this particular whistleblower from filing a complaint. I got to tell you, I don't like the rule anyway.
Well, this was from the Federalist. There's a piece in the Federalist that said it happened, the rule change happened between May 2018 and August 2019. It looks kind of a little too coincidental, no?
It could be coincidental, and, you know, the vast majority of intelligence officers are non-political.
Yeah.
They're not out to get the president. They support the president. But the timing is very suspicious, and I think that this has to be investigated.
Okay, well, that's another thing that we got to investigate. What happened in the good old days when government used to do things that help people rather than just investigate itself? Fred Fleitz, good to see you, my friend. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it.